You have been deceived. Since childhood, you were taught that being good was the way, that offering your hand was virtue, that giving yourself away was nobility, that saying yes was proof of love. Pathetic. Goodness, when born without criteria, is not light. It's a sacrificial lamb led to slaughter. A meek lamb is not admired by the wolf, it is devoured. And the modern world, this circus of flatterers and emotional vampires, has learned to exploit precisely the pure, the available, those who say yes to everything, even their own erasure. Ah, dear viewer, if you still believe that simply being good is enough to be loved, you have not yet understood how this jungle of fake smiles truly works. Comment below. From which city are you listening? I want to know how far this lie has spread and where someone still remains willing to destroy it. If you cannot stomach this kind of truth, perhaps it's time to leave. But if you can, like this video right now and stay with me. Because today, we will not talk about how to be accepted. We will talk about how to stop being used. The first thing you need to understand is this. Whoever offers everything without filter, without strategy, without discernment, does not inspire admiration. They inspire greed. You will not be remembered as generous. You will be remembered as convenient. And convenience is a disposable currency. You believe you are loving when in fact you are begging to be seen. But love does not spring from desperation. Respect does not spring from blind giving. Respect springs from boundaries. You have become masters at surrendering and slaves because you do not know how to withdraw. The world does not respect those who are always available. It does not admire those who answer quickly, who give themselves entirely, who fold out of fear of seeming selfish. The world respects those who know how to say no, those who know how to disappear, those who turn their own absence into a monumental presence. Want to be loved? Then learn this. Scarcity projects value. Too much emotion, uncontrolled, reeks of desperation. Excessive availability smells of neediness. Even divinity, when it manifests, does so in silence and mystery. Why do you think a noisy soul will ever be revered? If you feel exhausted, broken, drained by relationships that only siphon you dry, it is not bad luck. It is lack of boundaries. You were not a victim of others. You were accomplice to your own naivete. Want to be tested? Just one delay, and absurd demand, and emotional blackmail. And there you are saying yes with your heart torn to pieces. But the yes spoken against yourself is a spiritual betrayal. I say this without pity. The soul that never learns to protect itself is condemned to give until it dissolves. And the world does not mourn the dissolved, it forgets them. Do you still think presence is something cheap? That attention should be distributed like alms, poor in spirit. True power begins when you treat your presence as a luxury, not as an unlimited resource. There is something aristocratic in knowing when to be silent, when to disappear, when to refuse the invitation, because whoever gives themselves entirely all the time becomes invisible, but the one who withdraws at the right moment becomes unforgettable. Inner authority does not shout, it does not explain itself, it does not need to justify itself. It simply enters a room and the air changes. Do you want to be desired? Then stop offering yourself. Want to be respected? Learn to be absent, not to manipulate but to preserve. The modern era is a circus of urgencies. Everyone runs, everyone speaks, everyone posts, everyone begs. I tell you, whoever knows how to administer their own silence becomes an abyss that attracts. Because deep down everyone desires what they cannot have. Everyone bows before what they cannot predict. And you, if you wish to be reborn, will have to learn the art of selective presence. It is through it that the soul gains density and the gaze power. You are exhausted, and you don't even know why. You feel used, ignored, replaced, and you still ask yourself, where did I go wrong? I answer, you went wrong when you made others the center of your value, when you believed you needed acceptance to exist, when you reshaped your soul to fit others' desires. That hunger for approval is humanity's new captivity, a vice disguised as virtue, an internal collapse disguised as empathy. But I tell you, no one is free as long as they need someone else's gaze to feel whole. Reconstruction begins at the exact moment you choose to disappoint someone rather than betray yourself. And yes, it will hurt. Because emotional addictions also scream when contradicted. You will be accused of being selfish, cold, distant. But do not be fooled. Those who fed on your weakness will hate your strength. It is the price of freedom, and only the strong pay it. The weak prefer to remain the emotional cushion for those who despise them. But you, if you have come this far, perhaps you are ready for the fall. And every true fall is a chance to be reborn. Only those who live on their knees truly die. Do you really believe you will gain respect by begging for attention? That you will be valued by offering your soul as a freebie? The truth is brutal. The world does not love the good. It consumes the good. And then it spits out the leftovers with indifference. Because goodness without structure is like a house without foundation. Beautiful on the outside, vulnerable on the inside. Emotional charity is lovely in rhetoric, but if not accompanied by discernment, it becomes symbolic suicide. You call it generosity, when in reality, it is the fear of being alone. It's time to tear off that mask. There is no greater power than remaining silent when everyone expects you to react. The world is addicted to noise, to excuses, to shouts. But whoever masters their own silence, masters others without touching them. You don't need to shout to prove you're right. You don't need to beg to be understood. You don't need to explain yourself to justify your withdrawal. True power is cold, serene, impassive. It is a presence that destabilizes, an absence that teaches, a silence that screams louder than any word. And only those who dominate this power can say they have become unmovable. Do you still believe you need to be understood? That someone will applaud your self-sacrifice? Wake up. Most come close only to suck you dry, and when you no longer serve, they vanish. The truth is that no one respects someone who's always trying to please. The world does not honor the sacrifices you make in silence. It simply demands them, and demands more, until you crumble. And even then it will charge you for your absence. Do you want to be valued? Then disappear. Vanish. Become scarce. Desire is born from lack, not abundance. There is something profoundly powerful in not reacting, in looking into the eyes of someone who expected your fall and saying nothing, in walking away without a shout, without drama, without warning, just leaving whole, lucid, firm. Because the person who learned to withdraw without hatred became a master of themselves. You were taught to fight for everything, to always justify yourself, to prove your worth. But I teach you the opposite. Retreat is also war. Silence is also a response. Not yielding is also love, self-love. And there is no love more sacred than the love that builds walls where once there were only bridges of humiliation. You call virtue what deep down is fear in disguise? You smile when you want to scream. You apologize when you should lift your head. You say no problem when you're being torn apart inside. Pathetic. Modern politeness is not nobility. It's submission varnished with social gloss. It is cowardice trying to look civilized. I say this without mercy. The man who is polite at the wrong moment is not noble. He is a slave, and predators smell this. Ah, how they smell. They don't attack the strong. They seduce the polite. They test with small offenses, interruptions, dirty jokes, subtle slights, and wait. If you laugh to ease the awkwardness, you have already lost. There is a brutal elegance in self-control. Not the superficial self-control taught by coaches, but the real kind. The one that comes from a spirit that knows itself deeply. One that has already bled and refuses to bleed in vain again. The person who masters their impulses doesn't need to defeat. Others, they dominate the scene. They bend the atmosphere. They change the game just with their presence. While fools react, the wise observe. While the weak speak, the strong fall silent. The new warrior does not stand with a sword in hand. They stand with their emotions under command. And that, my friends, is far more dangerous. You were taught to always be available, always accessible, always online. But I tell you, whoever is always accessible is treated like an object. Unrestricted access destroys the symbolic value of presence. No one reveres what they have all the time. No one respects someone who's always ready, always open, always smiling. Don't you see? Excess presence creates symbolic absence. Excess giving nullifies impact. Want to be remembered? Then learn to be missed. Disappear for a while. Turn your silence into a sanctuary, not a punishment. And do not confuse this with coldness. Cold is the world that demands your blood and then spits out your soul. Cold is continuing. To give yourself to those who never asked if you were okay. You owe nothing to those who ignore your pain. True warmth lies in boundaries, in the courage to retreat, in the silent gesture that says, I respect myself enough not to accept this. That is fire within. It is not ice. It is dignity. It is emotional sovereignty. You think being good means accepting everything. I tell you, being good means knowing when to say, enough. The rest is self-immolation disguised as affection. There is a kind of rebirth that only happens after collapse, when you have given everything, betrayed yourself too often, been ignored until you lose the sparkle in your eyes. That is when you finally see, no one will come to save you. No one will thank you. No one will return what you gave. Because the world does not operate by justice, it operates by interest. And until you accept this reality, you will continue to be prey for the wolves. But when that realization strikes, something new is born. A version of you that no longer needs an audience, that no longer needs anyone's blessing to exist. This is the moment you stop being a servant and become a master. Master of your own time, of your own energy, of your own dignity. It is when you stop shouting for love and begin to build respect. Respect not for what you give, but for what you impose, for what you deny, for what you no longer tolerate. You are not here to be an accessory in anyone's life. You are here to be the axis, a rare presence, a silent strength. And if someone cannot handle that, let them leave. Because worse than being alone is being surrounded and still devoured. To those who have made it this far, listen with brutal attention. The world does not need more do-gooders. It needs whole souls. People who know how to love without getting lost, to help without erasing themselves, to remain silent without feeling guilty. Because true revolution is not screaming. It is standing tall when everyone expects your fall. It is not about becoming cruel. It is about stopping the bleeding for those who never had the courage to wash their own hands. Compassion without wisdom is suicide. Giving without criteria is servitude. And I call you not to love less, but to love with lucidity. If all this has wounded you, perhaps you are still alive inside. And if it has awakened you, perhaps there is still time. Like this video now if you feel you have reached your limit. And write in the comments, Nietzsche, I am rebuilding myself. I want to know who had the courage to step down from the martyr's role, who grew tired of being good only to be used, who is ready to live with presence, with honor, with strategic silence. And if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, do it now. Not because I asked politely, but because here you will not be spared, you will be remembered. Remember, it is not enough to want to change. You must become undesirable to everything that destroyed you. You were too good for those who only deserved your silence. Now be too firm for those who only knew how to bend you. The world will not change for you, so change yourself before it finishes crushing you. And if it hurts, smile with disdain, because pain is the final proof that there is still something in you worth saving.